Hey, everybody. Welcome to another installment of 3 Days to Close, the podcast where leading realtors share their stories and strategies for success. I am Tim Schultz. I'm the co-owner and lead photographer at Bright House Photo. I have my co-host with me, my firstborn, Max. How are you, Max?
Not too bad.
Good to see you. And today I'm very excited. We have a superstar realtor in our midst, Max. Lisa Logenbach is here today. She is from Keller Williams in Langhorne. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm great. How you doing, Tim?
Doing good. It's a beautiful day, and I just got in from a shoot, and it went great. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to talk to you and learn a little bit more about your business. So the way we've been getting started is really talking about, you've been a realtor now for 19 years.
Nope. 5.
It's been at Keller Williams for almost 19 years.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
How on earth did you get to this place right now in your career?
Okay. So first off, it's 35 years.
Oh boy.
So I've been with Keller Williams for 19, almost 20. We're gaining on that.
Yeah.
And so I think I found my calling.
Finally.
Yeah, I think this is it. I think this stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was 1988. Fast forward, the business is so much different now, but it's so much more fun.
Is it?
It is, parts then were more fun. It was a little bit more hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is the Zoom, but it's kind of cool. I don't know where you're at right now, but I'm in Langhorne. Max is in Mount Laurel.
Yep. I'm in Hatboro.
And you're in Hatboro, and here we are having a conversation.
Yep.
Wouldn't have done this in 2019.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
right.
COVID brought us some good things, right?
Some good things. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys don't even know that I'm wearing sweatpants right now.
Great. I didn't even know what Zoom meant before, other than Zoom, whatever from that kid's show.
Right.
But anyway, so here I am still selling.
Still selling. So
still selling.
There's a lot of hats that you wear as a realtor, and it has been a challenging market. So maybe we just open this up and talk about the market in general, what you think is happening in the real estate world. What are the advantages of this market, and what do you see coming up in the next couple of months?
Okay. So, we'll just talk about the elephant in the room, the rates. So people don't love the rates.
Big elephant.
Okay. Guess what? People are still buying homes.
Yeah.
I bought my first house at 10.5%. I don't know what your first house was at.
I was there too. 1980, 89. Yeah.
Okay. Mine, I think, was in 80. What was it? I know, I'm gonna have to think about it. 87 might have been.
But it was 10%. We thought we were getting a bargain.
Right, because it had been much higher, 13, 14. Yeah. So, I don't foresee that we'll have the rates come back down to 3.25, certainly not the 2s, because that was mortgage-backed security driven.
Yeah.
So here we are. Do I think they're going to come down? I do. It'll be fun to look at this, 6 months from now and see if I'm correct. Look, we're going into an election year. I don't like to get political. I think it's just a normal thing that happens in election years.
Right.
So I would suspect by spring, at least late spring, you're going to see them come down. And I'm hoping we see in the 5s again, because we're not there right now. Now we're at 7.5-ish.
Right.
But I think, for sellers, it's still a strong market in certain areas. Max, you just bought a house?
Yep. We settled May 9th. So we've been in a little while now.
Okay. So how long were you looking prior?
I want to say like 3 months probably. I think we figured it out in April. We were like pretty set on the house, but we put 9 offers in. We were pretty aggressive.
Well, so that's what I was getting to. So how many offers did you put in? And this isn't staged because I didn't know the answer.
Yeah.
No, we had to put in a ton. It was super competitive even then.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are certain tricks, I guess, on a buyer's side that help, and maybe you got more competitive as you got to the ninth offer. Certainly, probably by the fifth or sixth, you started to get certain things. Now, I almost hate to ask this. Did you do inspections?
So we had kind of a funny story about that. We had originally said we were doing informational inspections only, but due to some unforeseen circumstances at the house, without flaming anybody, we weren't able to complete those inspections. So we actually ended up pulling it back and doing the full thing afterwards.
Okay.
So
Okay.
contingencies, right? Yeah, right.
Contingencies are a big part of the market. Now, I see that in many cases now, because we had another blip in rates over the last month or so, like they were lower sevens. I think we were kind of getting back to sixes, and now they're kind of higher sevens, 7.5 to higher sevens. Um, I'm seeing that my buyers are getting inspections. Maybe we're shortening up the time period. You know, nobody needs 10 days or 14 days to do an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
The home inspectors are not that busy. As an agent, you can call them ahead and say, okay, you know, if I go under agreement on this, do you have something available? It depends what day, you know, Tuesday or Wednesday. And you can almost coordinate that before you're fully executed.
Will you coordinate that with the inspectors yourself?
I mean, I'm giving them a number of inspectors to peruse through, and maybe they have somebody, but then they call. Somebody's calling and saying, "Hey, do you have availability?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, radon test is going to take some time. I just had one where we are going to do a stucco test, a mold test. Some of those take time to get back, but we still, like on that one, we did 7 days because we lined it up before we actually were fully executed.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have it that we knew we'd have all results in by day 7.
Okay.
That's important.
It is.
And seller doesn't want to wait 10 days. They don't want to wait 14 days. And in Pennsylvania, you've got 10 days plus 5 then to negotiate plus another 2. That's, you know, you're over 2 weeks and their
Right.
house is off the market. So
There's this whole like conveyor belt of like processes that you like have to get into, like the inspections, the negotiation, the final offer, like
yes,
getting clear to close on the mortgage side. I mean, so you deal with this a lot, I mean,
yes,
obviously, but like it's really kind of like jarring for a buyer where you're all of a sudden on this conveyor belt, but you have no idea what the process is. Like our realtor was great in terms of explaining that to us.
right. And I think that's part of it. Yeah. I mean, and it's a roller coaster. Being a buyer is a roller coaster,
Yeah.
right? Like you love the house, you put an offer, you don't get it. Okay, you got to get back on. You love another house, you put an offer, you don't get it. You know, 9 times, 11 times, that can be, it's hard for some people to accept.
Right.
I applaud you for your persistence. So, and I wasn't your agent, so there.
Yeah.
But you must have had a good one.
Well, he
Um,
had good advice from his father too. How about that?
well, there you go.
There you go.
Seller side, you know, I think you have to price competitively. You know, we generally look at a 6-month window. So that 6-month prior period gives us a little bit of a map of what we have to look forward to. Again, when we have these little blips, that might, maybe I only want to go back 4 months or 3 months to look at what's under contract, pending, you know, and settled. Because really what happened in the spring is not reflective of what's going on right now. So you
Yeah.
really have to zero in on who is my buyer. And so you look back the 6 months. I will say, you know, most sellers, if they price correctly, price the where the market is, don't jump up and don't do that stuff of, well, I want to price should be 500, but I want to,
That's a
yeah,
whole other discipline,
yeah,
right?
that
With sellers.
like price it 520 so I have room to negotiate. Now, I believe in pricing it where it should be,
Right.
where it would appraise. The market will tell you, like, you can't underprice a house. I truly believe in this day and age, you cannot underprice a house unless you take the very first offer that comes in.
Okay.
You know, if you are on the market for a day or so, you know, people that say, oh, I sold it in 24 hours, that's not necessarily a plus. right? Like
Mhm.
maybe we set a deadline. Sometimes that seems a little cocky now,
Right.
wait to see what's happening. I do tell everybody I don't do any of my own photographs. So, to me, it's all about who I have in my arsenal. You're
Mhm.
part of my arsenal,
Thank
right?
you. Thank
So
you. Happy to be part of your arsenal.
I would never do my own photos anymore. And I think agents that do are doing their sellers a disservice because,
Hmm.
and I won't go on the market without having my photos. I
Yeah.
might do a coming soon
Mhm.
with just the front photo. Sometimes I text him, what do I ask?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hold off for a
Send me
minute?
the front photo.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Let's do that coming
Send me
soon.
the photo.
Yep.
Um, and like to me, you have to, it's like a speed dating, right? So you've got this window of opportunity when you first go on the market and you need the pictures in there and you need the descriptions. And, it's very timing of putting a house on the market's important.
Right.
Um,
Right. So let me ask you, and we're getting into the selling part of things, and we can do that. So Max is, let's say, for example, he's done with New Jersey. He's been there 3 months. He wants to move to Pennsylvania, and he wants to sell his house, and he's going to ask Lisa to put it up on the market. So when you go on that listing call and you hit it off, tell us, the 4 or 5 things that you want to have your seller do before you actually put that house on the market. I mean, what does that process look
Or
like?
even just understand about the process, because I think some of it's just like explaining to people, how this is going to go.
right. So, so on the first appointment, I will, and they may not list on the first appointment, not because we're not hitting it off, but maybe they have some things to do. So I do have a number of people that I can offer. I have handymen, I have people that sell. They'll do clean outs basically, but kind of like on the estate sale side, and it doesn't have to be an estate to have an estate sale.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of things that they need to get rid of. I also have guys that do clean outs. They just take them for donation kind of thing, and it doesn't really cost my sellers anything. Now, if they have garbage that goes out after, sure, then they're going to charge for that, pretty minimal.
Hmm.
Painters, you name it, we have people because there are things to know. I may send a chimney guy out there because they think their fireplace is functioning. Well, if I'm in a township that requires that cert,
Right.
I don't want to say you have a working fireplace, right? So we'll go through all that stuff. That's sort of the very preliminary and possibly bring out a stager.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I've used, different stagers that it's important.
Yeah, staging, and I love a staged house. I think the not
Yeah,
the kiss of death, but just if you have empty rooms, they're boxes essentially. Photographically, they're just boxes, painted boxes. So I believe in staging a house, whether it's with their own furniture or bringing in a professional and actually get it done. It makes the world of
right,
difference with the
right.
pictures.
And I've learned I'm not a stager, just as I'm not a photographer. So I can tell basic things, there's obvious, right?
Sure.
Don't have stuff on your counter, take everything off your refrigerator, have everything off the top of the fridge. There's a lot of basic things, but let the stager do her job.
Hmm.
And she's pretty good.
Yeah.
So those are first steps. And then, well, there is a lot of paperwork. Pennsylvania, there's more.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, sellers' disclosures are important that they fill them out properly. I don't fill them out for them, but I do like to, be involved, making sure they've answered every question
Yep.
Right. Make
so
sure
that
there's
there's not
no
a blank.
landmines out there waiting for you inside the deal.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, when somebody answers something incorrectly, and it's usually they're not lying, it's like
Mhm.
they misunderstood, missed it, whatever, checked the wrong box, like they checked private water, but they have public water. Um, I've seen where a seller has checked off electric heat, but they have gas heat. Well, maybe they didn't know, maybe
Mhm.
it's a widow and,
Yeah.
her husband took care of those things. So, I'm going to correct her because I know that's not right.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to fill it out. Jersey's a little different because Jersey doesn't always use a disclosure. Did you get one?
We got one from almost every house. We got like a little folder. I mean, it was part of the packet back when I was doing this. There was, 25, 30 people coming through each open house every time. So they even had like a Wawa hoagie
Right.
spread and several of them. It was like, my goodness.
Oh, did they? That's nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, but like that just like lets you know how many people they expect to come through. So you see that and you're like, well, not
Right.
getting this house.
Not getting that. Well, but you got one.
Eventually.
So that disclosure is very important. Like you're saying, not only for them to fill it out, but get them thinking about the house as a product. You know what I mean? We need to describe this product. You need to help
Right.
me describe the product properly. I mean, and that's good for the entire transaction, right?
Right. And it's important that they're truthful. I always say,
Mhm.
like, you replaced your roof. Why'd you replace your roof? Did it leak? Tell them it leaked. It's okay. That's why people replace their roofs. Like, you don't need to sugarcoat it. It
Mhm.
leaked, you replaced it. Great. It broke, I replaced it. It's
Yeah.
because Pennsylvania has a better disclosure, I think, than New Jersey. But New Jersey is very important. Some agents like to say, "Oh, well, they don't need to do it." I like to have it. I think it actually does
Yeah.
offer some protection to the seller too, if answered properly.
Right.
So,
Right. All right. So you got the paperwork started, and the name of this podcast is 3 Days to Close. And just to give you a summary, like, we believe that realtors like yourself that have got the right idea of getting the pictures taken, doing the open house. Monday, you're going to open up offers. You know what I mean? Hopefully it takes a short amount of time. What is your process when you're ready to go, when you're ready to put the house up?
ready to go. So I do like a coming soon, not for as long that's allowed.
So how long do you have that coming soon?
So they're allowed to do it for 21 days. I
Okay.
think that's super boring. Like, everybody's lost it in the house,
Yeah.
21 days. But like, if I'm going to go on this weekend, because maybe the seller's going away and we're going to plan showing start Friday.
Mhm.
Well, I'd
Okay.
like to coming soon on Monday, right?
Yep. Yep.
Coming soon Monday, open it up as active on Friday. Hopefully, yes, that's enough. It's not always enough anymore.
Okay.
And then gauging the interest, and you can tell because when I go on the market coming soon Monday through Thursday, they could schedule appointments for Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
They can't view it though. Like, they can't go in it, but they
Yeah.
could
Okay.
schedule their appointments for that weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
If I get no appointments, I'm probably not going to put a deadline, right?
Okay.
I think that's rare, but if no appointments happened, yes, we probably will skip the deadline until
Hmm.
we see what's going on.
Right.
It's backfiring on some agents, I think, now, and then they need to take that information out. It's usually an agent comments, so the public doesn't see it, but don't tell me you're reviewing offers on July 3rd and it's, here we are, October.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
might be time to
Yeah,
update that.
you're tipping your hand a little bit.
Yes. I think we're getting multiple offers in a lot of areas. Like, certain areas are still, it's like nothing never changed. Other little pockets are showing a decrease. They're still getting multiple offers maybe, but not as many. And I
Hmm.
think the person that overprices on a very outdated home, possibly, they might sit, right? The
Yeah.
beautiful staged, ready to go, priced right, they're selling.
Yeah.
How do you approach that stage of like, in the negotiation, all of a sudden, like you have somebody selling their house, kind of like it's a place they raise their kids, they're feeling very attached, and all of a sudden somebody comes in and they're like, yeah, we'd like to, a 10K seller concession for a roof or something. And these people kind of have to deal with that fact. How do you approach that negotiation and kind of coach your seller?
I mean, I think it's preparing them ahead of time, right? So certain markets, seller assist is normal. We have a lot of great loan products out now that almost eliminate some of the seller assist. Like, in Pennsylvania, there's it's PHFA, which stands for Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. Don't I might not be right on that.
Okay.
But there's a K-Fit program. They're income based, though, so you have to have a maximum income.
Mhm.
So that one has lesser combined income, but you get up to 5%. Well, not up to, you get 5% grant. So right? So if the purchase price is 400,000, you should have 400,000 times, you're getting $20,000. So you might not be able to get assist if you get that. The K Flex is for a higher income limit, has a higher rate, but also has the 5%. I have somebody doing that right now in Warrington, on a townhouse in Warrington. They're
Mhm.
gonna get basically $20,000. So they couldn't get assist because it's too much, and it's only 3% down
Right.
payment, right? It's a great program. It's a first time buyer program.
Mhm.
But if I'm in an area where I think seller assist is kind of coming back, and we could see it by those comps, I review that with them and say, don't be surprised. And really, they have to look at the bottom line. Somebody offers you 300, you're asking 300. Somebody offers you 300,000 with 10,000 assist. Their net is 290. If they are fine with that net sale price, then it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Right.
Some people get caught up in that. Well, nobody paid my closing costs.
Right.
Okay.
You don't want to give anything away, Yeah.
But there's so much of it that's personal. It feels very much like you're attacking me.
It is very personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just try to remind them it's a business transaction.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to the letters, some buyers do letters. We're really not supposed to present those letters.
Love
My
letters,
feeling,
not good,
love letters.
right?
I'm really proud of my love letter. It's like the second time I mentioned this, but it's like I wrote I hate New Jersey, and it was all of the reasons why I hate New Jersey. And then it was, but I really love my wife and she really wants to live here. So I'd love to live in your house.
Oh my gosh,
Such a love letter.
that might not work with everybody, but hey,
Right.
But for the people that it will work with, it worked well.
there you go.
Yeah.
We're not, NAR, who was the National Association of Realtors, says we're not supposed to use them, that's discrimination.
Yep.
Now, I think the way agents sort of change it to fit is, don't talk about the people. Don't show a picture of you, perfect little family with the perfect amount of children and the perfect little dog. Talk about why you love the house or why you hate New Jersey,
Yeah.
but you love your wife.
Yeah.
You didn't really give away anything that's discriminating. I mean, I don't know what else you put in there, but you didn't give away the discriminating part.
But in general, it's
So
not a good idea. Love letters are not a good idea.
I like to present them after they've decided on who they're
Okay.
picking.
That's fair. Yeah. So I want to ask you specifically, because whenever I go into a house and I'm talking with the realtor, they may say, "What's the price?" And I'm getting a good sense of pricing just because I'm in houses every day,
Right.
right? But how do you derive your selling price? I guess is it just a matter of comps and sharing that and then hitting that sweet spot? How do you determine that price?
I mean, I think part of it is knowing a market, right? So, um, and again, I think for some buyers, they walk into a house and they're like, "Oh, we really love it, but we haven't seen enough." That's hard. But I
Okay.
know it's the perfect house and the perfect price. They're probably not going to buy it because they haven't seen enough. But as a seller, they're watching now. I feel like all the sellers know what their neighbors' houses sell for.
Mhm.
They're all
Yeah.
looking on different sites.
Zillow. Yeah.
Most.
Mhm.
But I bring the comparables, but I also feel like I've been in a lot of those houses. So then I have a different avenue. Like, yes, this sold for that, but this is why that sold for that. Like, wow, did you see what that backs up to? Or did you see that kitchen? It's like a $75,000 kitchen.
Yeah.
So being out there and seeing them, I find helpful. Like
Yeah.
I am a listing agent and a buyer agent. I do, a lot of both. I'm kind of 50-50 almost.
Okay. But again, that's the strength of your experience, and you know what I mean. That you're
Right.
bringing that to the table for the seller. Yeah.
Well, and I think, sometimes it's hard conversations because everybody thinks their house is worth $1 million, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes, you have to say to them, well, those houses had central air and yours does not, or, but you're on the main road and those other ones were inside the community, or whatever it is. Like there's a lot of good, but we also have to be willing to say what's not perfect,
Mhm.
right? Or when something goes bad.
Yeah, you got to tell them the truth.
Yeah. I look at systems too, heater. Well, if that's brand new, that has value. If it's 10 years old, if it's 35 years old and it's a central air unit, well, that's going to come up.
Yeah.
So maybe we address it now. Maybe not. Not everybody has money to do things. Not everybody wants to do things, but it does reflect in the price.
Okay. Okay.
And we try to look at it through the eyes of the buyer. So,
Yeah. So, we had talked earlier before the podcast about mortgages and a little bit about getting pre-approved and what's going on with the mortgage industry right now. Tell us a little bit about your experience right now with the mortgages, and do you direct people to certain lenders, or how does?
well, my husband is a lender.
Okay,
So
full
yes, his
disclosure.
name comes up. Full disclosure. So
Yeah.
that's Jack Meg, Summit Mortgage. So, and he has great rates and they have great service. And look, everybody should get pre-approved,
Okay.
every buyer. They absolutely want to be pre-approved before looking at houses, because you're just wasting your time and everybody else's time if
Yeah.
not, and their own time.
Yeah,
Of course.
There's a lot of different products. To me, you get pre-approved, and then Cody and I have a consultation, a buyer consultation where we, go over a number of the things, the processes, and one of the big things is, all right, we now know that you're pre-approved for X. How are we going to get there? Because, Max, you could have been pre-approved for $1 million, but that doesn't mean you like those payments, right? So doing the numbers is a big part. I feel that we add a lot of value in that. I know a lot of agents aren't comfortable talking about the numbers.
Mhm.
I think that's our shtick, right?
Yeah.
And we do it, and that way they know when they're going out and looking on whatever app they're looking on. If we talked about taxes that were $5,000 a year, and they love this house, but those taxes are $9,000 a year, I just
Yeah.
remind them.
Yeah.
Remember what that looked like. If you're comfortable, you're comfortable.
That house is probably in Jersey.
Well, they're probably 15 if they're from Jersey.
Yeah, I think that's so important, right? To give people a sense of the reality of it,
Right.
right?
And for some people, we have to redo it. So the people that were looking, that the 3s and the 4s, and then they jumped up, we had to reevaluate when the rates went up. And then even the buyers that were pre-approved at 6.5%, well, now we need to kind of readjust the numbers to make sure that everybody's good, everybody's
Yeah.
comfortable. Because there's no point in looking at houses. You're going to fall in love with a house. So you're pre-approved for 500,000, but you're thinking in your head you could buy 700.
Yeah.
So you look at all those, and then you're broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just set yourself up for disaster.
Right.
Right. I'm assuming you got pre-approved ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, luckily I've got some good advice. We did, but it's like, I will say, like, the lender made a big difference. We had a great lender. She helped us, like the mortgage broker walked me through everything. There's lots of things like these documents, put them in a folder that looks like this. This looks like the best way to get them to me. Like, it's a scary kind of transaction because all of a sudden, there's all of these things that could totally mess you up.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of the funniest things for you, and I don't, how old are you?
I'm 35.
35. So checks, it's funny, your generation doesn't really write checks.
Yeah.
We had to get checks from the bank specifically for some of the payments.
Yep.
Right. And
Yeah.
some of them come in, like, my kids are 33 and 28. So, I'm dealing with some of their peers and such from you know, when they grow up, they're buying houses, and they'll come in, and I actually have to show them how to write a check. It's kind of
You can write a check. You can definitely write a check.
You gotta,
I just,
Yeah.
get a YouTube video first, and then they'll tell me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and they're not, you know, they're all smart kids, but it's just something you guys don't do. It's a different world.
Mhm.
You know, I still write checks. I stopped writing them at the grocery store though.
Good. That's good. Keep the line moving.
There is like financial literacy stuff, which like I feel like, like our real estate agent Tim told us about, but he was like telling kind of some of these stories where it was like, hey, we had this locked up, we got the rates locked in, and then my buyer went and opened up a Home Depot credit card because they were like, I'm super
Right.
excited to go and like buy all this stuff for home improvement purchases and stuff.
Right. We do prep them. You're not allowed to buy anything. Like you have to call me. And no furniture, no appliances, no car. I mean, I've seen everything with my husband doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody went and got a car payment for $11.50 during their mortgage.
Oh boy.
It's gonna cause some problems.
I don't even know what kind of car that is.
Yeah.
So do you see mortgages? Do you see there's going to be floating rate mortgages, adjustable rate mortgages in the foreseeable future? The reason why I'm asking, like, we had a realtor on and a good friend who would tell me that you should date the mortgage company but marry the house, right? I like that.
Well, they say date the rate,
Date the rate.
marry
Thank
the
you.
house.
Marry the
Date
house.
the rate, marry the house. I agree to a point. It depends on the type of loan that they're doing. And yes, in most cases, most people will be able to refinance when the rates come down, and they will.
Okay.
I'm not sure that statement's true for everybody. I think it's a good slogan, and I hear it a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I also heard a lot of agents saying that they should buy down their rate.
What does that mean?
So you're paying points to buy the interest rate down to a lower rate.
I see.
So points, every point is 1% of the loan amount.
Right.
Mhm.
So $400,000 loan, 3 points is $12,000.
Wow.
Maybe that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. But if you're going to refinance, part of me says I don't know that I think that's a smart idea, because usually paying points, it takes 5 to 7 years, and somebody could probably catch me on that being not totally correct. But
Okay.
I'll do the math for them.
Mhm.
But it'll take that long before they pay themselves back for having paid those points. So if you're going to refinance next year, I don't know that that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
because you
Gotcha.
spent that money's gone.
Right.
Like maybe keep the 12,000
Yeah.
and use that to paying towards the payment that you're not as comfortable with. You qualify for, but you're not as comfortable with.
Yeah.
There's not a right answer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It's what's the right answer for that buyer? We went through this scenario over and over with a young buyer recently. He had a lot of money, unusual for his age. He's 24. Great job, great income. He was putting 20% down, probably also unusual for his age. And we talked about the buying the points, but he is very likely going to refinance, and he's going to be able to. He doesn't need it. He could do a cash out refinance, but like he's doing improvements to the house, so there will be more value in the house too.
Okay.
So I don't know. Like, to me, I would keep the money. I wouldn't pay all that money
Mm-hmm.
towards points. But again, I show them what they can do, and then it's up to the buyer ultimately to decide which to do.
Right.
And some think the seller pays for it, and they can, which is seller assist,
Mhm.
Yep.
but that seller assist could just be used to whatever too. So, redo a bathroom. Who knows?
All that right now.
Yeah. You're doing a lot.
We are actively redoing 2 rooms in the back and then the bathroom at the same time.
Oh,
So
good.
it's a busy house right now.
Busy.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Busy. Hey, let's jump to your business model, your business, and how you market yourself. You work with your son Cody, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And I know we did a portrait shoot for you and he. You guys were on the cover of Producers magazine. Was it
Real Producers
Real
magazine. Yes.
Producers? Like, okay.
Yes.
And so it's cool because you guys, you got your son who's probably closer to Max's age,
He's
lives
28. Yeah.
yeah, and he lives in town, right?
He lives in Fishtown
He lives in Fish.
in
Well,
Philadelphia.
yeah. Well, what cooler place to live at 28 years old? So
Where all the cool people are.
that's it. That's it. So tell us a little bit more about how you and he work together. First of all, mother and son, and then second of all, kind of business partners. How do you work this? I mean, is he in charge of marketing only? Is he, help you with, how's that work?
We kind of do everything. I will say I gravitate more towards the listing side. And part of that's just my years in the business and my age and whatnot.
Okay.
He works with a lot of buyers and still does listings too. His idea, so the Home Found team is our team name. And let me see. Do I have
Home Found?
The Home Found team.
The Home Found team.
And under it, it says Beach Burbs in the City.
Beach Burbs
Here's
in
our
the City.
shirts. I'm going to have to get you one.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Beach Burbs in the City. That's
Beach
cool.
Burbs in the City, because now his slogan was Home Found, Burbs Beach in the City. The only change I made was Beach Burbs in the City, just to be phonetic.
Well, and also people want to know that you're at the beach as well. And everyone wants to get a house at the beach, so it's important.
Everybody does. It's fascinating.
Yeah. That's cool. I love it. Beach Burbs in the City.
So that's been fun. And he gravitates towards the city more for business, and he really knows it. It's cool. He's worked with my sister-in-law's daughter, helping them find a house, and there he was. He's like, oh, this one you want to see. This is the one. Like, this location is awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would have known that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because the city's a completely different animal than beach
It
or
is.
the burbs, right? The city, the neighborhood situation, the fact that there's so much money going into the city with new builds right now.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Especially in Fishtown.
So
yeah.
Well, Fishtown, Northern Liberties, like, he really knows those little neighborhoods, and it's cool to see from the mom side, right?
Of course.
Like, he's not just my little boy.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty smart. And I went to a Real Producers event, kind of funny, that last year at Philmont Country Club, but at the time it was mostly Philadelphia agents. And I found it interesting that he kept introducing me to people, and I felt like I was just Cody's mom. Nobody knew who I was. Mike McCann knew who I was, but just that was about it.
Okay. That's great.
Now I went this year, there was more Bucks County agents. I think the guy that runs it did Philadelphia more before, but it's just kind of funny. I'm like, oh, all right, here's Cody's mom.
Cody's mom. That's okay.
Yeah. It's like when he was in high school. But we both do, like, we both have ideas with marketing, and we try to do the both. It's funny that you're doing this podcast, because I kept saying to him, I'd like to do something like more videos, maybe a podcast or something. So, but I don't have all that fancy equipment.
Well, no, but your son's pretty tech savvy.
He is. He does. Yeah. He does some cool videos too. And it's funny, I wouldn't even see them sometimes, and people would be like, oh my gosh, I saw Cody's video, and I didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
He's Instagram.
And Instagram. He's a grammer.
He's a grammer, and I'm a Facebooker.
Yeah.
So
you guys haven't made the transition to TikTok yet?
No. This will be on TikTok in a couple of weeks, Max. We're going to put this on TikTok.
Oh, I love to. I was doing a whole bunch of TikTok stuff before, but then I kind of got away from it.
Need to beef up my TikTok presence.
Yeah. I know.
Maybe we can enlist some of the younger siblings.
Hey, listen. So we've talked about quite a few things. This is a question that we ask all of our guests, and that you've been in the business for a while, but to separate yourself among everyone, what is your superpower as a real estate agent, Lisa?
What is my
What is your
superpower?
superpower?
Wow. Well,
Yes.
where's my little
Yeah.
sign? I have a little sign on my desk that says "Fixer of everything." An agent in here gave me. So I think it's the numbers for one. I'm big on numbers. I know a lot about houses. So, because I've rehabbed many houses, so I've, knocked down walls and seen termite damage, and so things like that don't stress me. And I understand who to call. I don't know everything, but I do know people to call for just about everything, and to get the correct answer,
Yeah.
whether it's an accountant, attorney, home inspector, guy that does basement waterproofing, whatever. Like, I figure I know somebody that does something, and I can kind of give ballpark numbers on that stuff. Um, and just general knowledge of the contracts. I teach contracts, so I teach the agreement of sale and buyer tenant agency contract and those things because I am an associate broker. And again, that just
Okay.
comes with time and actually reading what the contracts say. Like New Jersey, you probably had an attorney there,
No,
Max?
no, I think it was
No?
like an option. I know a lot of people do, but we didn't.
Right. Where you are is sort of falls in the like maybe not kind of area. North Jersey, they all use them. Pennsylvania, I would say 90% of transactions in Pennsylvania don't have an attorney. So we're reviewing contracts, and I find that very important to really, explain to them so that they understand. To me, that's your groundwork for how the transaction's going to go. It's all in there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not limited to one superpower. I don't know what the one is.
Well, I think, your experience and with numbers, with contracts, I mean, that's invaluable. That experience to a buyer or a seller is really key, I believe, Um, so at the end of our program, we usually open it up and say, hey, what's coming on the market, or what do you have going that you want to discuss from a sell side, or what's coming up with you and Cody's business in the next month or so? You got some great t-shirts coming out.
Got
I
some
love
great
it. I want
t-shirts. All
one.
my clients get them, and you know what I'm going to have to say? You'll have to text me what
Yeah.
size you'd like, and then I will make sure that you both get one because I'd like you to wear it on your show, though you won't.
Oh boy.
Listen, we have a price and it's low.
So what's coming up? I have a listing coming up in Langhorne and Terryton Estates. That's coming up. I mean, there is some good stuff coming up. I have, it's been a good year. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Good. And you are located in Langhorne. Your office location is right off from Oxford Valley,
right
right?
by Oxford Valley Mall, and we're actually, so our office is connected with also Ben Salem and Southampton. We have there, and then
Mhm.
we have Newtown and Yardley, and Keller Williams is kind of everywhere now. And I like
Right.
the vibe of a big office. So
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to find you, you're in Langhorne, right near
I'm in
Oxford Valley.
Langhorne
Just
by Oxford
pop
Valley
on
Mall.
in,
Mm-hmm.
ask for Lisa and Cody,
As for
and
Lisa and Cody,
yeah. I think we've learned a lot in the last half hour, and I'm really happy that you joined us today.
thank you for asking me.